What is up, guys? We're back here with another video. Today, we got on another Clearwater Thresher. This time, it's the voice of the Clearwater Threshers, Josh Sperber. You guys saw how well the Jordan Disson video did. Huge fans of him over here at Cahtah Media. Why not bring in the guy who watches him every day? Well, I mean, I watch him every day too, but he gets to watch him in person in sunny Clearwater as well. Josh, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. So the first question I got for you today is, how did you get the job with the Threshers? Was it something that you had in mind for a while, or just come out of nowhere?
I mean, a little bit of both, I guess. I've been in minor league baseball since 2017, doing different roles. I'm originally from New York, so my first minor league gig was with the Brooklyn Cyclones. So crossing rivalries a little bit, but it's fine. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of worked my way up, got some more broadcasting jobs, and I was actually in Australia this past winter in the Australian Baseball League. And I heard about this job with the Threshers. I've got family in Dunedin, so it just seemed like a really good fit. And I applied, and thankfully I'm here. I mean, can't really believe it sometimes, but it's awesome. I really love it out here.
Well, yeah, you got a great team to watch right now. They're
Yeah.
absolutely on fire. I mean, it seems like everybody in this lineup is absolutely dominant right now. What inspired you to be in broadcasting? Did you always want to be a broadcaster, or just something
Yeah.
spark you?
I mean, it's kind of something I've always wanted to do, but I never really thought of it as something that I could do as a career until I got out of college. I had done TV production and radio production throughout my senior year and the summer before that. Then outside of college, I stayed doing production, and yeah, it just kind of happened. I mean, I worked at Lafayette where I went to school, and I I was there to actually do instant replay for a lacrosse game against our rival Lehigh, and the replay machine that I was working on broke. Like it couldn't log in, and we couldn't get it. So after an hour of fixing it, my boss comes to me and he's like, "Look, I know you drove like 2 hours to get here. I can just give you gas money and get you home. There's really nothing we could do about it." So I asked, since I knew there was only one broadcaster for us that day, I asked if he had another headset. He said, yeah. And then I asked him if I could just jump on and do color commentary for the game. And he said, yeah, sure. So 30 minutes before game time, I had my first broadcasting job, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
What does your prep work look like for a minor league baseball game? I'm sure it's a little bit different than the majors, but I'm sure you have a ton that you still have to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some similarities in terms of game notes. I obviously focus more on the Threshers game notes. That's like a whole packet that I write myself, which is mainly just notes on the players, like a little biographical information, and then some notes on what they've done in their career, and then key stats from this past season, like hit streaks, on base streaks, home runs, stuff like that. So it's mainly just compiling that, and the broadcaster or the media relations person for the other team will get the opposing game notes ready, and then it's just a matter of studying those up and reading them so I can kind of get them not completely off the cuff, but just have them enough in my mind so I'm not like reading a book while I'm broadcasting and then missing action going on. But I mean, a lot of play by play is just describing the action as it happens. So I try not to like over prep. Like I want to just know a little bit that if I have some time to vamp or some time to fill, because usually it's just me on the broadcast for the Threshers, then I can fill that in with some like other biographical stuff and really tell the story of how the player got here and just how the season has gone for that person and then for the team so far.
That's pretty cool. What would you say would be the most difficult part of broadcasting minor league baseball?
Um, I mean, I think that's part of just minor league ball in general, just doing multiple jobs in one. Like I'm also working on stories for our game program right now, and I have to handle like roster moves and things like that. So it's just kind of compartmentalizing everything and keeping everything down to a routine and just getting scheduled and disciplined so that you can get everything that you need to get done before game time, because there's always something that's going to come up and you just have to be ready and adapt and get everything done.
Yeah, that's something like anybody that says they want to get into sports, first thing I tell them is go work for a minor league baseball team.
Yeah.
I worked for the Reading Fighting Phils. Obviously, you know who they are because they're just a couple steps above. And I mean, I did everything from social media to community relations to picking up players from the airport, like all kinds of different jobs. You learn literally everything about an organization in minor league baseball. And it's what makes it really fun, but it's also you are there. Like you're there 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. like every day. It's constant work. But it's extremely fun, but it can be exhausting. I'm sure you're having fun with it right now.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. Especially when the team has the best record in the league. So that does not hurt. But I know what you mean.
12,
I mean,
was 12 straight, almost 13 straight.
it was 13, almost 14.
It was 13, almost 14.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable.
And it resulted in a couple guys getting called up because they were playing so well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, how do you, I mean, obviously this team is playing really well right now. Do you foresee them like winning the championship in single A or?
I mean, if this were like Major League Baseball where the roster stays pretty much the same for the whole year, absolutely. But I mean, you don't know who else is going to get called up.
It's true.
There's a lot of talent. I mean, there's definitely some of the younger guys that I would guess would be staying here longer. Like I'd imagine that the Threshers would have Justin Crawford for most of the season because he's 19. But, you know, there are guys like Gabriel Rincones Jr., who's coming out of college, already looks very mature in the batter's box. He might get called up, and he's a big part of the team. And that's just one example. But the thing is, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I can make my predictions based on how I see the guys playing and how I see, you know, injuries and call-ups in the upper levels go. But you just don't know how the roster is going to end up. I can predict that I think this team is going to win the first half of the Florida State League and get themselves in the playoffs. But like, it's hard to tell because it's mid-May now. Playoffs are in September. You just don't know how the roster is going to look. But I mean, just for this Threshers team right now, it seems like anyone who gets called up, the next man up is almost as good, if not better in some cases. Like it's going to be hard to replace, like for this round of call-ups, it's going to be harder to replace Caleb Ricketts and Orion Kerkering. Those guys were just incredible. Ricketts was hitting almost 400 and Kerkering let up 3 base runners in over 10 innings.
Yeah.
Base runners. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But the next guys up after them, Wesley Moore allowed his first earned run of the season yesterday. And you had a whole episode talking with Jordan Disson, and I'm sure you know just as well as I do how good he is and how strong of a career he's going to have. And he's the next man up when it comes to catcher. Like I imagine he's going to be the starting catcher for the most part. I mean, split with maybe Ryan Leach, who just came up and looked pretty good yesterday. But still, like those are 2 strong catchers replacing a guy who, he was in the top 5 in like every single hitting category in the league. That doesn't mean Disson or Leach can't do the exact same thing.
Exactly. And that's what's just so crazy about single A baseball is everybody gets drafted and basically goes right into low A.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like Jordan got drafted in the 12th round, but Ricketts got drafted in the 7th. So they're both on the same team at once.
Mm-hmm.
They may be around the same type talent. Ricketts is tearing the cover off the ball, and so is Jordan. So it's crazy to see the amount of talent that this single A team has on it. And it just looks different than a lot of other low A teams I've seen for the Phillies in a long time. Like they just have an extreme amount of talent there. And I assume they're probably going to move some of these guys through here pretty quickly. But who knows? You never know. Like low A is just don't know yet. I don't think you really know about a player until it's double A, ish. I think once you get to Double A, you kind of know, like, okay, this guy's going to the majors or not. But I mean, what if you were to pick a few guys on the team right now? Who would you say, okay, this guy's going to the majors? I mean, obviously, we can't really project a ton, but who would you say,
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
okay, this guy's
well, I
going?
mean, for starters, the two guys that just got called up, I mean, Ricketts is just one of those guys that you're around him for a little bit, you talk to him, he already carries himself like a big leaguer. And that I think is key. Kerkering is maybe the most talented reliever that I've seen working in the minor leagues. I mean, at least on the teams that I've been on, he's 23, throwing consistently between 97 and 99 with a wipeout slider. Like, he already looks like a big league closer. So he's going to move up the system pretty quickly, I think. And then, I mean, it's difficult to pick from the guys left on this team because there are a lot of guys that I just don't know if I've seen enough of yet because it's like you said, like these are guys that are just starting out in their career. You have guys like Cade Fergus who looks like a really good hitter. He's got a lot of pop, but like a lot of younger players, he had some issues with striking out. He's on a 4-game hit streak now. In each of the last 3, he's had at least 1 RBI with 2 or 3 hits. Like he's just on a run right now. And you just never know how long those runs are going to last. But I mean, it's really hard to pick just one guy from this team that I think, all right, this guy's definitely going to be a major leaguer because I've seen spurts of big league level talent from just about everyone on the team. But if I had to pick one on the current team right now, I'd probably take the easy road and say Justin Crawford. I mean, you know, his dad, Carl, has been there, done that, and he's already kind of lived major league life. I mean, talking to him, you hear some of the big league names that have helped him out, like growing up, like through high school. He's getting hitting lessons from D. Gordon. Like, how many kids can say that? So, and the talent is definitely there. He looks like he's going to turn into a 5-tool player. Pitching wise, I really like Alex McFarland as well. He's got a fastball that I've seen hit 100 miles an hour a couple times. But again, like these guys are just, there's a great coaching staff that is teaching all of these guys and trying to make every single one of them into multi-time All-Stars. And it's just a matter of how they continue to progress and continue to learn from the coaching staff and just get better. And I see a strong desire from all these guys to do that. Like, you know, you'll see everyone joking around, having a good time in the locker room and everything like that. But when it comes to like batting practice drills, everyone is giving 200%. So it's just a matter of them continuing to do that. And you could see the entire roster of the big leagues, maybe. Like, it's really difficult to choose.
Yeah, you just talked about the way Justin worked with some big names coming up. Have you worked with any big names throughout your career? Is there anybody that mentored you or who you model your broadcasting after?
I mean, that, and again, it's just another long list. Like, I've worked with, just seen in action, just a whole lot of really great broadcasters. I know Jake Eisenberg, who is in the Royals system. Well, for the Royals, actually, he's the new radio guy for them. Just got on Valley Sports with them last week for the first time. He's a guy who I really admire the way that he's very focused, really hard worker. In Bowling Green last year, now with the Royals Double-A team, Sean Mernon definitely taught me a lot. I don't think I would have this job if it wasn't for him. But I mean, there are too many names to list in that. I mean, there's just so many first-class broadcasters that I've been able to work with. Some other, you know, high-ranking officials within the team, within all the teams that I've worked for. It's just we'd be here for days if I were to thank every single one of them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And how was it working in Australia internationally? Like, how different is that watching baseball there as opposed to the States?
I mean, it's similar. Like, in a lot of ways there, I mean, it's pro baseball over there, but you know, the same guys that I'm seeing in Australia, you see in minor league and major league baseball all around. Liam Hendricks played a couple of years for the Perth Heat. Let's see. Peter Moylan, who was with the Braves for 13 years, was our our manager in Melbourne. And I mean, a lot of the teams are run by former major leaguers. Justin Huber was my GM, another guy who I've learned a lot from. He was the GM in Melbourne, and he's really running it like you'd see a big league or a minor league team run. So it's in a lot of ways like they're trying to model themselves after the way the major league's done, because it's still in kind of the younger stage of a revamp. It was around in the ABL has been around for years, but the modern ABL only really began in 2010. So it's still definitely a league on the rise, and you can tell that there's a lot of growth already happening, and even more that's just coming on the way. But in terms of the experience there, it was just unbelievable. The Melbourne Aces are a first-class organization, and I genuinely loved my time there.
Yeah. So this will be the last question. Thank you so much for coming on. What was it like calling that no-hitter, and was that your favorite call you've ever done?
I mean, I'm not going to be able to tell you what my favorite call was, but that's definitely the coolest one, because weirdly enough, I have actually had a no-hit call in each of the last 3 years that I've been on a broadcast team for the minor leagues. I think it was June of 2021 where I was working for the South Bend Cubs, and they got no-hit by the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. Last year, the Hickory Crawdads no-hit the Hot Rods. I think it was either in May or June. I don't remember, but like first half of the season, it was a 10-inning no-hitter that, I mean, I was on the broadcast for, but I wasn't on the call for. I was on the call in the 9th inning when the Cubs got no hit, but like when your team gets no hit, that's not like a really cool thing. That's like not great. But this was the first time that the team that I worked for was actually the one doing the no hitting, and it was just me on the broadcast. It was my second game for the Threshers, my second game as the voice of the team. And it was just unbelievable. Like, first win of the season as a no hitter, 16 strikeouts. Like, come on. It was truly an unbelievable experience. And it was another thing that, you look at the Threshers now, everyone's obviously just in disbelief, and just seeing how unbelievable that 13-game hit streak was, and the fact that they've got the best winning percentage in the minors right now, not really that surprising to me, because I've seen them be able to play at this kind of level since day one. So it was definitely a cool experience. Yeah. Oh, this is the most advanced A-ball team that I've seen. I mean, it's hard to believe that these guys are no older than like 23 years old. I was certainly not this mature when I was 23. I'll tell you that. So,
the emotional maturity of these guys, just like, like we talk about Justin all the time. He's more mature than me, and he's 19 years old. Like, the guy is just like, they could call him up right now and he'd be able to mentally handle it, which is just crazy to me.
For sure.
Thank you so much again for coming on. If you guys would like to check out Josh, I'm putting a link in the description where you can go listen to his games. I highly recommend it. This Threshers team is extremely fun to watch. I mean, they got guys like Amari Boyd stealing all kinds of bases every other night, and they also got extreme pop in the lineup. Like, they have everything. So
no holes in this team, 0 holes.
Thank you guys so much. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you next time. Cahtah.